Hey, so welcome back. This will be episode 7 on our AdventRealms development log. And in this episode, we want to implement the audio mix effects subsystem. Then we're going to implement the platform emulation settings. And we're going to uncomment the uncomment this. So that's going to be in performance slash. And of course we need to do an include. That's why it's grayed out, because it's not used. Okay. That's fine. And then we'll go ahead and look to see if we can also implement the player characters base class from the local player in Lyra. So let's go ahead and get on with it. We'll open up Visual Studio Code, which is another IDE that I'm using, over on my other screen. You can see that. Blase, blase, blase. We don't care. We don't care. Alright, and let's go up here, AdventRealms. We're gonna create a new directory. We'll name this one as audio. And we're going to create a new Unreal class, and we're going to inherit this from uWorld sub. uWorld sub system, which does not exist. Okay, let's just go ahead and make it empty then. So we're going to name this as AdventRealms audio mix effects subsystem. And we're gonna subsystems world subsystem. It found it. And we're going to include our generated code. And then we're going to go ahead and copy and paste all of this. And of course, we're going to search for Lyra, and we're going to change it to AdventRealms, and then take care of any of the issues. All right. If we can just copy all of the problems. See, in Visual Studio Code, you can actually include the problems, which is nice. Okay, there are several problems with header file, including resolving we'll just see if this actually works. Probably not. Oh, hey, it did work. Rock on. Okay, so let's what is it under? Audio, audio subsystem, Control C. Boop 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 boop. Do 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 do. Okay, gonna close out some of these tabs up here that we don't need anymore. All right, and we've got our audio done. Cool. All right, and the next thing we needed the rebuild, and then we'll get to the emulation settings. And this is development. We're going to name this as AdventRealms platform emulation settings. Yeah, we're gonna put it here in the development folder because why? because our end users won't see it. Okay. Find and replace. Exit. Yawn. Ah, yeah. Should be in all caps. My bad. Okay, the header is done, and let's go ahead and copy and paste the CPP. Hey, perfect, no errors. Nice. Okay, so while this is going through and working, I am curious, but I believe I know the reasoning behind it with having the local after the settings, like AdventRealms settings has local. I want to say that the reasoning behind it is if it's a local client or a remote client. Like if you're hosting the game on a server, then it would probably be something like settings remote or settings server. But you would think that if it was if the local was just a local client, it should be like settings client instead. But who knows? Okay, and one last thing, and I'm going to do this before we get into the player character, is we're going to set up GitHub for a repository. That way, because we're using AI, and yeah, we want to just make sure the code is safe. I have been burned way too many times. That's what I get for not being a programmer, right? So, seriously. All right, so while this is finishing up, hopefully it doesn't take that many tokens. But yeah, while this is finishing, let's go ahead and just take a quick 5-minute break, and we will be right back with more coffee. And we are back. All right, so it looks like ChatGPT went ahead and did some corrections here. Okay, we are slowly getting there. So basically, what I'm going to do is once we get the performance, once we get all of this figured out and corrected, we'll just go ahead and call it here. So all right, so we just asked ChatGPT to fix our errors. And while that's doing that, let's go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break. Grab yourself some coffee, and we'll come back to hopefully a fixed project. And of course, as I opened up OBS, I saw that I was still on the splash screen that entire time. Oh, fun, fun, fun. All right, that's fine. All right, and we've got some more coffee here. Looks like ChatGPT finished up, and hooray! So let's I don't know why it just doesn't use PowerShell. So it wants us to basically delete the following directories: intermediate binaries and derived data cache, the data cache, data database. We want to go to the database. So delete those. Rebuild. Generate the project files again. You know, it would actually be pretty awesome, and I was kind of almost looking into it. Is actually making a game sort of like Tron, like a cyberpunk Tron game. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, my idea was more or less a sort of like Forza Horizon and Forza, as well as like the racing simulators, but not as in depth. You know, you upgrade your car and all, and everything, but you don't have to adjust like individual springs and all that. I want to play a game to have fun, not learn how to be a damn mechanic. So, but yeah, it was going to be based like in a racing game that was based in like cyberpunk, futuristic type thing. Who knows? Okay, on-rep recorder player state function is a part of the Lyra game module, specifically implemented in the A Lyra player state class. Hoorah! Okay, so we'll have to correct that. Player state, source, AdventRealms, and the player will depend on the GSC player state. We want to ask ChatGPT a question. The question is, what is 42? Are you have the source code for Epic Lyra example from Unreal Engine? And if so, what version of Unreal Engine is were you trained on? Boo. Okay, so ChatGPT, I do not have access to the source code for Epic's Lyra example project from Unreal Engine. I was not trained on proprietary or internal Unreal Engine source code, including Lyra. My training data includes general programming knowledge and publicly available documentation, but not specific versions or private code bases. It's public. Alright, and it's free to use. I would like to, at some point, fine train a model on all of the source code for Unreal Engine, and then at least for like the last two versions and any future versions, as well as like all the Unreal Engine documentation, and then as well as like all of the C++ documentation, and then just basically make a real UE5 agents. That would be awesome, right? The one from Unreal, you can ask it questions, but it doesn't have an agent mode. It doesn't have a access to like MCP tools, which is a shame. So so I want to say basically this functionality is so that people can like replay the game, and in Lyra that would have been like the game match, right? But I think it would actually be interesting if people could like replay the scenes from like adventures going into the dungeon. In enumerator, we need to create a new struct. We need to create a new struct. That's going to be a U struct of a blueprint type. Okay, let's see if it works. Yeah, now I just need to see if everything we've done the last 2 days doesn't break our where we're at now in the game. So, okay, it's loading. Create widget called with a null class. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and call it here. We got everything compiled at least, and yeah. So now the engine is just making a widget that's empty. I think this is probably related to the game settings, but who knows? So we'll end it here. See you next episode.